Welcome to the AME television show, everybody. I'm your host, Jason Dowd, and we got a great show for you guys today. We have a great guest coming up, and we're going to take you to a really cool place in the Tampa Bay area. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we take you on a whole nother adventure. And remember, before we get into anything, check out our website. Not right now, after the show. And all you have to do is go to www.theamemagazine.com. It is the AME Experience, which is our radio, television, and magazine. So if you missed anything, it's there. If you want to see what we have coming up, it's there as well. We also have a brand new app for the AME Experience, and it's on the Android and Apple platforms. All you have to do is go to our website, click the icons for either the Android or the Apple App Store, and it will take you there and you can download it for free. So it's a really cool way to keep in touch with us. And what's even cooler is that we have new push notifications. So anything that's new that's going to come out, and if you have the app, it'll show it right on your phone. No texting, no cost to you, and you can stay informed with what's going on. So also, we have social media going on, which is facebook.com/the AME Experience. We're also on Twitter, which is @Dowd Studios, Instagram, and Snapchat, which we are learning right now, so there's not too much stuff up there, and that is my name, Jason Dowd. Okay, so our first guest we ran into at the Amalie Arena here in the Tampa Bay area. Her name is Ayla Brown. She is a singer-songwriter, and she was singing the national anthem for a hockey championship between the USA and Canada. USA won, by the way. And this is really one of her first experiences singing the national anthem in front of such a huge event. So we got a chance to talk to her about that. Also, what she loves about singing, what it was like to be on American Idol the year that Taylor Hicks won, and we're going to be learning a little bit about some of the things that she loves about Christmas time and some of the things that she's done as a tradition. And we're going to be talking to her about her brand new singles that have come out. So we got a lot to discuss with her. Now we're going to go to the Amalie Arena and run up and talk with Ayla Brown. After that, we got a commercial break. When we come back, we have more, so don't go anywhere. Hey everybody, we are here at the Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida, and I have Ayla Brown. She's going to be singing the national anthem for a hockey event that's here today, and it's actually the championship, so that's really exciting.
Yeah.
She is American Idol contestant, and she just released her new single called Label. We're going to be talking to her about that, and also we're going to get to know her, so welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So give us a little bit of how you got into singing. What makes it so passionate for you?
So I got into singing at a really young age, but I feel like I kind of had my moment and flourished more so in high school. And that's when I tried out for American Idol. I was 17 and stood in line for many, many hours with my mom in the pouring rain and got my first golden ticket. And it was at that moment where I was like, wait, I have talent? What the heck? Because really before that, the only thing I was doing that was in public was singing some national anthems. Nothing as big as something like this, but at high school girls' basketball games, and my biggest one at the time was a Revolution soccer game at Gillette Stadium. But I look back on my career and I'm like, wow, it all started with the anthem, which is cool because today it comes full circle, and I get to do that this afternoon for the USA women's hockey game. But singing has always been a passion of mine, and I'm so happy that I finally found an outlet to do it.
What was the hardest part for you about singing? Was it getting in front of people? Was it remembering the lines? Was it creating your own songs? What is it for? It could be a little bit of everything.
That's a good question. I think there's a combination of everything, because you don't want to forget the words, and I've done that before. I mean, even songs that I've written, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't remember for the life of me how this song starts, and I'll either skip the song totally and just go on to the next one, or I'll just be like waiting, and you have those moments because songs are hard to remember.
They are, and you got so many of them. If you're going to do a full concert, you're looking at probably 12 songs.
Exactly. So there's that. There's getting up in front of people that you don't even know, and who they don't even know who you are, and that's scary too, and nerve-wracking, because you just at the end of the day want them to understand what you're doing and to appreciate it and to clap or to buy a CD after the show. But I would say over the years it's become my profession, so I try and treat myself as a professional, and I just go out there and I do my job as best as I can.
So what do you do if you get out on the stage and cannot remember a line? You just hum it up?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at an old video of me singing Label, the single that I've been promoting, for the first time ever in front of an audience, and it took me like 45 seconds of me being like, oh my gosh, I don't remember. And then I'm looking at my band members, I'm like, does anyone remember? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh my God. So I really had to like compose myself, remember, and then I delivered. But, you know, it happens to all of us. It just happens, you know, and I was nervous because it was my first time singing that song in front of anyone, and I immediately deleted the video after I saw it. I'm like, that's not going to live anywhere in this house. No way. So it's somewhere up in the clouds. It's been deleted, and, you know, there's going to have to be another one where I get out there and perform my heart out.
So what season of American Idol were you in, and who was the winner of that season?
I was on season 5. Taylor Hicks was the winner of that year. But we also had Chris Daughtry and Kelly Pickler, Catherine McPhee, Mandisa. The list goes on and on. There were so many great people, and I was just happy to be a part of something like that.
And how did you finish?
So I placed 13th. I was the last girl standing as they were choosing the top 12 seats. So it was heartbreaking for me that I didn't get that opportunity. But at the end of the day, it's amazing when you think about all the other ones that kind of came about. So I still, when I got eliminated, I went and played college basketball for 4 years, something that I had worked so hard for. And so it's kind of cool to just see like how my life was different than someone else's on the show. And we're all doing really cool and different things. Like, that's what I love about American Idol, just because it's a great show. And at the time, it was the only show that people watched.
It was.
So people got like very attached to these contestants, and they wanted to know, and they still want to know like what we're up to. So that's a good feeling.
Now, like you said, this was an opportunity that you had, and sometimes we don't understand why things happen at that time, but down the line, we're like, wow, I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
So, you know, how do you take those opportunities? And sometimes good things happen, sometimes bad things happen, but use it to your advantage later on down the line.
I mean, I hope every time I step out on a stage or do a media opportunity like this, it always leads into something bigger and better and greater, because if it doesn't, then, you know, kind of what's the point? And I mean that only so because anyone can sing as a hobby. I mean, you can do it in the shower, you can do it just for fun and not make money because you love the art of music, and a lot of people do that. I would love to transition, and I hope I have over the years, of my love of art and music into my profession and the way that I pay my bills. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, that's my goal, is to get out there, every opportunity, take advantage of, because you never know if it's going to lead into another one.
That's true. That is absolutely true. So you decided to write another single called Label.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with the idea? Why'd you come up with that as a title?
So the title was in my phone for a while, and I had a writing appointment with a guy named Eric Halbig, and he's one of my favorite writers in town. We don't write often, but when we do, like, something magical happens in the room when we write. And so I wanted to write this song about a bottle and label and have it be kind of like a drinking song, because I don't have many drinking songs. It's not really me, but I know it's my audience, you know, and they love songs about whiskey and whatever it may be, beer. But I was like, maybe we could write a song about a label on a bottle and blah blah, and it would and it was so deep, right? And at the end of the 4-hour writing session, it didn't end up being that at all. It ended up being a song about a relationship, and being in kind of the, quote, beginning stages of a relationship, and wondering to that person if they'll ever put a label on it and be something more than what they are, which would be, you know, a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So that's what it ended up being, which is funny when you think about it.
Still deep.
Yeah, still deep, still relevant. Actually, probably more so relevant, because with just the dating scene in general these days, I mean, it's just, you never know what you're going to get out there. So,
yeah, that's so
you
true.
gotta put a label on it when you can. So,
but you know, something that's really neat is, like, if the label looks really cool on anything that you buy, it makes it that much more special.
That's
like,
true.
I look for labels. If the label looks really cool, I will buy it just for the label.
Yeah.
So
you're sucked in by the marketing. I love it. There you go.
I am a label sucker. Yes. It's okay. That's just the way I am, I guess.
Yeah.
So this is actually now our holiday season. You know, so do you have anything that's really special that you do for the holiday season? And do you have anything special for your single during this holiday season?
Ooh, so I actually have a Christmas song that I finally released to radio. And I wrote it a couple years ago, but I finally, like, bit the bullet and put down the money to send it to radio all throughout the country. So it's a song called Spend Christmas With You. It's super fun and upbeat. And so speaking of just holiday songs, that is available. It's on anything digital like Amazon or iTunes, Spotify, etc. So I hope people listen to it. It's really fun. It's special to me. I wrote it by myself. So if you want to see what a solo write sounds like, you can check out Spend Christmas With You. But I tried to introduce a new Christmas tradition in my family probably 3 years ago, where I would buy and provide blank glass ornaments and the paint and the paintbrushes, and everyone would get their own ornament and paint it. And at first everyone thought it was the stupidest idea and, oh, we don't want to do that. But let me tell you, they were a hit. So now I try and bring that back every year. So I've already purchased my ornaments. I found a great deal, and I was like, oh my gosh, 25 ornaments for how much? It's sold. So I bought the ornaments, and I'm looking forward to bringing them up to the Massachusetts/New England area and getting people to, put their stamp on an ornament this year. 2017 will be one to remember.
That's really cool. So tell everybody how they can get your singles and how they can. You have more singles too. So
oh my gosh,
she's got a lot of stuff out there. So how can they find it?
I don't even know how I'm keeping up right now. But you can find everything you need on aylabrown.com, and you spell my name AYLA, so aylabrown.com. But you can also find, if you're a digital downloader, you can find everything you need to on iTunes or Spotify and those sort of sites. But if you enjoy the physical hard copy CDs and you can't make it to one of my shows, you can go to aylabrown.com, and there's a store section, and I literally I personalize them, I send them out in the mail. And if you're into that and the hard copy CDs, you can find anything, plus t-shirts and vinyl records and all sorts of fun stuff on my website.
Awesome. Now, before we go, you've obviously done a lot of things to try to further your career. What advice would you give somebody trying to do the same thing? It doesn't even have to be singing. Just what would you give them as advice to try to achieve their dreams?
Oh, such a good question. Oh my gosh. And my answer would probably be different every day if you asked me that question every day, because it takes a lot of work to, as I mentioned before, go from hobby to profession. It takes a lot of work. So if you don't mind buckling down and spending a lot of hours a day doing what you love, it will become the greatest gift that you've ever received. And I truly feel that way. The fact that I wake up every morning and I'm like, hold on, I get to sing the national anthem today at an arena that seats, 20,000 people, I just pinch myself, because I'm like, you know what, I got this opportunity from a lot of years of hard work, and I'm just happy to be here in a new spot where new people can hear me. So if you're not afraid of the hard work, keep it up. Keep it going.
Well, Ayla, thank you for coming on. You're a fellow New Englander. I love that.
Thanks.
And she's an amazing singer, so check her out on her website, and we will see you guys right after this.
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV.
Welcome back, everybody. We are going to go now to Palm Harbor, Florida, and go to the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary. This is a really cool place with some really cool people, and I had a blast, and I got to learn about so many amazing animals along the way. I love animals. Now, this sanctuary has been taking care of animals since the 1940s, and what's even cooler is that they took some animals that were test monkeys. A lot of them were induced with diabetes, and they cured most of them of that diabetes. What an amazing thing to do. We got to see them in their natural habitats, and we got an up-close and personal experience. Like, I never knew that orangutans were so big, and I had a really cool personal experience with one of them as well. I actually got to hold a monkey, and I got to see some amazing things like alligators, snakes, exotic birds. They have it all there. Let's go check out the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary, and we will be right back after this to close it out. Hey guys, we are in Pinellas County, Florida, and you could probably tell by the behind us and the animals that you see that we have monkeys behind us, which can only mean one thing, that we are at the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary in Palm Harbor, Florida, and we have the owner here, and we have one of her volunteers that are making manager too, and we are making this. They're making this home possible for you to not only learn but also protect these animals as well. So welcome, Debbie, to the show. How you doing today?
Good. I just wanted to say I'm the manager. My grandparents started this in 1948 in Pinellas County, and it was put into a trust. So I don't actually own it. It owns me because I'm here 365 days a year, 24/7. And the nice thing about being around animals, I didn't want to see them get euthanized. I wanted to make sure they had a forever home. And I'm driven by the passion and the vision of what God set out for me many years ago. And my passion is definitely educating the young people. And that's why we have individuals like Maddie here.
Mm-hmm. So, Maddie, you are a volunteer here. You started out when, and why did you decide to become a full-time volunteer?
I started when I was 13 years old, and I'm 20 years old now. I decided to stay because I've built relationships with all these animals, and I don't want to leave them. I think one person can make a difference in each animal's life, and there's other reasons I'm here. It's just everyone here is like my family, so I'd rather be here than home sometimes, and I just worry about the animals all the time, so.
And honestly, animals sometimes treat you better than people do.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
They talk back, but you know what? They're cute. You can forgive them.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So as a volunteer, you know the importance of what you're able to do. Just one person can make a difference. So how important is it for other people to volunteer in anything that's important, not only just here, but just in your community as well? And what type of advice would you give them?
The reason why we volunteer is we believe our volunteers are called VIPs, very important primates. And the reason is, whether it's here or anywhere else, is remember, you're the only person that you have to make that difference. You will see things that other people won't. For me, I want to mentor young people. I want to make sure that when I pass away, there's other people here with heart condition. You can pay people to do jobs. You can't pay them to have compassion. And volunteers are 24/7. Being a volunteer is a job. It's not something you try to go in, get it over with, and go home. And that's what I love about the sanctuary. Everyone here is important to each other. When somebody's down, we go and help them. During the hurricane, we had 10 volunteers that we went out and helped personally from the sanctuary, from food to electric to generators. It wasn't just about the sanctuary and the animals here, because they give their heart, their love, their money, their souls to these animals. And we want to keep that preserved here in Pinellas County.
Like you said, this is your family's had this for a long time. What made them want to start something like this?
I think they're crazy. No, I wake up every day and the volunteers laugh at me because sometimes I said I wish my grandparents had hamsters, but they didn't. They have great apes that are going to live a long time. My grandparents, Anna Knoll and Robert Knoll, were the first licensee holders in the state of Florida. That's a big deal when you're talking about class 1, 2, and 3 animals. So they had the first licensee holders in the state of Florida for chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans. Back in the 40s and 50s, nobody even knew what an orangutan or a chimp was. They thought chimpanzees were gorillas. They had the original cheetah from Tarzan here.
Really?
Yes, he was in the 1932 to 34 movies. We've had the American tourist luggage gorilla here. We've had Mazda car commercial, Pongo, here. So we've got some very famous people that I volunteer and work for. They just happen to be great apes and primates.
Right. Now, is that the ape that used to jump on the luggage and showed how strong it was? Okay, I remember that. You guys could check that out. It's all over YouTube. So now that it's continued to grow, how big has it grown since your grandparents first opened it? Has it expanded quite a bit?
I love that question, actually. Not that many people ask me that. We went from 45 animals, now we're up to 130. We do not try to take in everything because this isn't the place for everything. But what we do is we try to place them in equal to or better homes than what they come out of. At the end of the day, we have built a whole facility of working on the young people, working on classrooms. When you look around, you'll see modulars out in the south field. Again, we're looking for a donor that will make naming opportunities, not just for individuals like Maddie, but for the next generation of children that need to understand that getting a pet is a 24/7, 365-day job. And when kids take that serious, we've made a better mom, a better dad, a better boss, and we've made somebody that will not run out on us later. So that's what it's about for me. Have we expanded? Absolutely. Do we always want to grow? Absolutely. Are we always going to take in every animal? No. But at the end of the day, if an animal's in need, we've been able to help assist them get to the right proper places. Who jumps up and says, I want to take a bunch of diabetic monkeys?
Nobody would want to do that.
I about cried when I heard that we were going to do that. But at the same time, it hit reality set in right away what that meant for me personally of being out here. I put a tent out here for 2 weeks. My daughters and I slept in sleeping bags. Who wants to do that? When we get a monkey in that's making a transition from a service animal or one that's been in a personal home and they've lost their owner, who goes and sleeps in an enclosure with them? That's the kind of volunteers we have here. That's not going to change here at the Primate Sanctuary. You may not understand us, you may not always agree with us, but at the end of the day, what you need to understand is the animals have to come first, at no matter what aspect they're in their life.
Now, I know this is generally a primary sanctuary, but I have seen a lot of other different animals here. What kind of animals can people expect to see when they come in?
Great question. From a 100-pound African spur-thighed tortoise to turtles, to macaws, to monkeys, to alligators, to a goose, a duck, a goat. Some of those came from actually the police department. Who do you call when you find a goat running down the middle of US 19? Well, we would hope you wouldn't call us, but we get them pull up in a police car. So who's going to take them? The problem with that is when you're out here and you're looking at the Lars gibbon, or you're looking at the chimpanzee, or you're looking at the orangutan, the goose, the duck, all those take money to take care of. And when a police officer brings somebody in the back of a car, we immediately have to say, how are we going to facilitate that enclosure for that animal? And where's that money going to come from, or where are we going to take money from another area that could have been used? So we don't want people just dropping animals off. We want them to look for Amnesty Day if it's an exotic animal by FWC. Look on the website and see who's qualified to take care of those animals. People are out there to help. There is room for all animals. It's finding the proper care and doing it properly in the beginning. Don't buy your child a pet at Easter time. Don't buy them for birthdays. Don't give them a gift like that. We want to give the gift of life of caring 365 days a year.
Very important. Now, I noticed that you are a sanctuary and there's zoos out there. What is the difference between a sanctuary and a zoo?
Well, I've worked in zoos. Zoos have their place and sanctuaries have their place, just like the wild has its place. Not everybody can be everything to all, but what we can do is partnership and work together. Some of these animals did come out of facilities. You're not going to have a one-legged bird in a zoo that somebody's going to ask questions all day long, or a balding bird. You want to have groups or troops that people can relate to, that makes it easier for the public to understand why they can be on a controlled environment that looks good. At the end of the day, we need nursing homes for people, we need nursing homes for animals. Not all animals can be in zoos, not all animals can be in a sanctuary. We have to have balance, and that's with every species on the face of the earth.
Now, also, you guys take donations, obviously, and it's a vital key for keeping this place going. How can people, if they're not able to come to Florida, or maybe in this area right now, but they want to help, how can they help? Or if they do want to show up, how can they show up, and when you guys open and stuff like that?
All right, well, all of our information is on the website, suncoastprimate.org. We have volunteer forms, we have donation lists, we have wish lists. Some people donate their dime, some donate their time. It all balances out. You can call and pay for a month of monkey chow. You can help us get more toys from Burger King shutdowns, barrels. It doesn't matter. Everybody has something, at least one thing they can do. We have to choose those things to do. I'm looking for that $1 million donor. You're going to help me find them, right?
I absolutely will. I'm sure we can find one around here somewhere, don't you?
Yeah. We're in Pinellas County. I know they're here.
Yeah, they are. And I'm going to find one for myself, too, while we're at it. So maybe we can get $2 million. That would be awesome. But well, I think we're about ready to go check out some of these amazing animals that you have here. We're going to learn all about them. We're going to get to see an up-close and personal view of some of these guys. So let's go have some fun.
All right. I can't wait. And remember, we do have an email address, spsfi@aol.com, where everybody can make a difference in an animal, child, or senior's life. The difference is you.
That's right. And we are going to be the difference. I hope you guys are going to learn something, so let's go have some fun. So tell us a little bit about what this little guy that you have here. What's his name? What type of animal is he? And give us a little bit of background about this particular species.
All right. So this is Peanut. He's an American alligator. He's about 3 years old. They grow 1 foot every single year. In 1970, the American alligators were going extinct, and one man went to Tallahassee and changed the plight, and now we have over 1 million.
Wow, that's a big difference, and it's amazing what one person can do if you're just a little bit passionate about it.
Absolutely.
So, are these the type of alligators that we find in our lakes, our swamps, and our rivers and stuff like that?
They are. Yes, they are.
Now, how big can these guys get?
They can get over 10 feet long.
10 feet long. So when we see these gators are like 16, 17 to 20 feet long, is that a little bit of a oddity? Like, is that typical?
Yes, it is.
So I guess it kind of depends on their environment and how well they're eating and what type of space they have. Because I had a couple of turtles, guys, and I'll tell you, they were about the size of maybe a $50, and then before I knew it, they were almost the size of my hand just by moving them from tank to tank. So I guess that's the same thing for these guys.
Oh, absolutely. Space and the amount of food available, all factors on how much and how fast they will grow.
What do they eat generally?
Ooh, all types of meat, pork, chicken, beef, liver, anything meaty, really.
I see that sometimes when you're walking by these different types of, you go by these different types of rivers and stuff like that, and you hear these weird noises at nighttime. It almost sounds like a grunk sound.
Right.
I'm sure that those are gators. What can you do if you're in those areas to make sure that you don't come face to face with one of them? I mean, they look cute. They're really cool animals, but you just don't really want to mess with them. So what are some of the warning signs that they might be around, or they might have babies?
Well, you'll usually see a nest or something if there's babies, and mom's always nearby when there is a nest, so it's always good to look out for that. And whenever you see a small alligator swimming around, mom's usually nearby, so you want to watch out, watch your surroundings, stay away from the water. And yeah, sometimes you'll see them on land. They're more likely to run away unless you really mess with them. So just leave them alone, really, and let them do their thing, and they'll leave you alone.
Absolutely. Now, if you see a wild alligator, it's probably not a good idea to feed them. Am I right?
You're correct, absolutely, because then they'll associate humans with food, and they'll keep coming up to humans, and that's what we don't want.
And I heard that they are the most aggressive during their mating season. When is their mating season generally in the state of Florida?
Spring. It's usually around springtime.
So that's the best time to stay away from the water if you're going to go out there, unless you're in a boat and stuff like that. Now, they are extremely fast, from what I understand. Am I right?
In the water. In the water, they're very fast. On land, they're a little slow, but they're still very fast.
And I think I heard somewhere somebody say that they can jump the length of their body even out of the water. So if they're a 10-foot gator, they can jump 10 feet in the air. Am I right?
Correct. They can.
So if you see them and you're that close, you're probably, you have no choice. So just kind of just be careful, quiet, and
back off, be slow, don't be quick, don't mess with them, and they'll leave you alone for the most part.
So let's kind of go into this little cute guy here. Everybody loves these types of snakes. Now, these are some of the snakes that you can find out in the wild, but you can also get them in captivity as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely. You actually need a permit for this particular python, which is a Burmese python, and they can get up to 20 feet long. So that's why they require a permit now.
So the permit is because they get so big, but so what kind can you usually get in the store then? You can probably the python?
Ball pythons, red-tailed boas, more of the smaller guys you'll be able to see in the stores, like corn snakes, milk snakes, stuff like that.
Generally, how are these guys dangerous? Because I know every animal can be dangerous, so kind of give me a little idea of why this particular snake would be dangerous.
They're dangerous because they get really big. They can, like I said, they can get over 20 feet, and then 20-foot snake is pretty strong. You usually need more than 2 people to work with a snake of that size because they can strangle you, and yeah.
Are these the closest things to maybe outside of the anaconda? Or would a python in generally be about the same equivalence?
I'd say almost the same, but anacondas do get bigger.
Hi there, my name's Debbie Cobb, and I wanted to help Maddie with some of your questions today. And I'm from the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary, and I'm the park manager. You were talking about turtles earlier and how small they were, and sometimes you can get them the size of a quarter. Well, here was one somebody's pet. And it was dropped off at the doorstep here at Suncoast Primate Sanctuary. One of the things you were touching on about the size of snakes, the biggest thing that people forget to think about is actually you need an ROC license for some of your larger snakes with Florida FWC. All that is found on the website, and we are pro regulations. We're for people having regulations and making sure that they're responsible in their ownership. Along with that, most people don't realize that when you increase the size of a snake, you increase the size of the food.
Yes, you do.
And then you need to increase the size of the enclosure. So at the end of the day, you have a pretty large snake eating a lot of food that could get itself in trouble just in your own personal family. Now this little one up here on your shoulder, when you see a little one like that, you don't even think about that when you're getting the cute snake at the pet shop.
Right. Yeah, you would think maybe like a rat once a week or once every other week or something like that. But I think one of the things that people that have these in their own personal homes they do is overfeed them. And what is a general feeding type of situation for this type of animal? What do they eat, and how frequent should they eat?
Good question. Well, a lot has to go with the size of the snake, what kind of snake it is, temperature control, climate control in the enclosure, what size the enclosure is. This one here should eat once a week because of the size of the enclosure and the temperature and climate. That's why we tell all our volunteers and all the kids in the neighborhood, doesn't matter if it's an exotic animal or a domestic animal, do your homework first. Make sure you know what you need for the whole life of the animal's lifespan, not part of the lifespan. And that's where people make their biggest mistakes.
Yeah, I made the mistake too, but I managed to learn a little bit more about them along the way. Was this little turtle here? I had a red ear slider, and like I said, it started off as about the size of maybe a $50, and then they said, oh, it's not going to grow much bigger than that. Well, it got to that size pretty quickly, and I decided, one of the things I was going to do is give it a bigger home. So I gave it a nice 50-gallon tank, a little terrarium, and before I knew it, he was that size, and I'm like, oh, I got 3 of these things. I don't know what to do with it. So,
well, we know how you feel because we have 20 of these things, and these things are great pets, but people have to understand you have to change the water a lot, you have to incorporate a larger enclosure, you have to do sunlight, again, temperature control, making sure the diet. You don't want any of the reptiles to get metabolic bone disorder, and we have to keep an eye on all that. So that's why we do a lot of calcium with our gators, and just rub him under the neck. He's good. You don't need to do that. Okay, just rub him under the neck. Give him a little love. All right, good boy, Peanut. So what we do is what we call behavioral modification and conditioning. What I was just reminding her that's one of the things he loves. So we do things that the animals love. We also have to have a lot of time with the animals so they understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. But we have some African spur thighs here out in the park that are tortoises, not turtles. And a lot of people don't even know the difference between a turtle and a tortoise. So if you don't know that a turtle lives in water and a tortoise lives on land, I think we need to go back to finding education in the books and making sure we do take care of them properly. We have a 100-pound one that came here that was left abandoned in the back of a house that was foreclosed on. So we try to get people not to do that with animals, being responsible, whether it's a snake, an alligator that's found its way in your pool, or just trying to cross US 19 getting back to the park. But if we go into the pet shops and you get a little guy, look and see how big they get, no matter what it is. Because at the end of the day, the only one that loses out are the animals.
that's true. And, it's not hard to do a little research. And sometimes these, like puppies and everything, everybody thinks that they look so cute. They want to give them as presents, but they're not a good present because there is a long-term lifespan for these. And I found out these guys can live up between 50 to 75 years. They will outlive me.
I know. Who would have thought that? Nobody thinks that, and you don't learn that in school.
Now, one of the biggest things here, like you said, this one was dropped off, but let's just say somebody decided to get a little guy like this when they were little, and now it's just too big for them to handle. Are you able to help them find a residence for them and relocate them, or would you take them? Or if something happened like that, what would you suggest somebody do as opposed to just dropping them out into the wild?
Well, first thing you want to do is make sure you don't take tortoises or turtles into geographically another county, because they can have environmental parasites and things that they wouldn't have in another county. So the first thing I would do is call FWC and find out who are the local people that you can do drop-offs. We have Amnesty Day here in the state of Florida. Sometimes they open up twice a year, and they will tell you locations that you can do that. But if I actually took this turtle and put him over in Hillsborough, and he actually had a parasite that could infect the other turtles, that could be a problem for the whole environment, and it could be a problem for any of the turtles that would be in that pond.
See, that's something I did not know. So this is very interesting to be able to learn. This is very important, guys, to learn, because little things can really impact a big area, and we don't even think about it. So I guess we're on to the next type of animal that we have here. What do we have coming up?
I'm excited. Can I be a surprise?
It can be a surprise. Guys, we're going to go to the next animal, so just stay tuned right after this. All right, guys, so as promised, we have a brand new set of animals over here, which is a lot of fun because we're dealing with birds this time, and these are pretty exotic birds. They look like tropical birds, and we're going to be learning a little bit about them, their diet, and everything that they have to offer our ecosystem. So we're here with 3 different types of birds. Kind of tell us a little bit about what these birds are and their general habitat.
So this is a sulfur-crested cockatoo, and these 3 are macaws, and they're from the Amazon. Their diet consists of seeds, pellets, and fresh fruit and veggies daily.
Now, we have a little bit of an example of what their food would be here. I'm assuming this is for all these birds here. It looks like we got it looks like banana, tomato, spinach, and some seeds underneath it. What benefits do each one of these particular foods give these birds?
All right, same as humans, nutrients and vitamins and minerals and all that good stuff. It'll help them with their feathers growing in and just their overall health.
Are these particular foods something that they would eat on a daily basis, or do you pretty much stick with seeds and these are like treats for them?
Fruit and veggies is a daily basis thing. It's always good for them to have every single day.
How much of a diet would they generally consume in a day? Do they eat a lot, or do they kind of like eat here and there throughout the day? I mean, would like a cup of food be okay? Would this be suffice for?
About a bowl of food per animal is pretty good for them. They'll eat it throughout the day, and that's what we do every day for them.
Now, here at the sanctuary, you have probably a few more of these guys around. How many birds do you have here on premises?
We have 14 birds altogether.
Very good. And are they all these types of birds, or are they all?
Mostly macaws, and we only have 1 sulfur-crested cockatoo.
So this one's the special one. Okay, so what I'm always interested in is how these guys are able to talk. What allows them to talk? Because obviously they don't have vocal cords like we do. So what allows them to be able to mimic the stuff that we say?
Well, part of what Maddie was telling you about the brain capacity, they have the IQ of a 3-year-old. So their capacity is much greater than some of the other animals. Santana is a military macaw. This one up here is a scarlet macaw. This is in the Harligan family, and this is a sulfur-crested. They're all different, but they're all intelligent. And the problem with them is when people get them, they don't give them enough stimulation. And most people who watch their diet, watch their genetics, you can have a nice healthy bird live all the way up to 95 years. Now, I always tell people if you're going to have them in a house at night, cover them up. You can have the TV on, the radio on. That will stimulate some of them to be thinking about what they're hearing. So remember, the more they're around people, the more they're going to want to interact with people. I love people who love to take their birds with them, but not to the point that you set them up for failure, for hurting people. This one here came from Orlando. This one came from a divorce. This one was dropped off at the doorstep. This one belonged to a man that was on a boat. So making sure that the environment's in the best interest for the animal when you get them, not getting them for pets at a holiday. Like you were noting about the seeds and the different varieties. Just like our other animals, we feed 5 feedings a day. In the macaw section, they actually get their main stables in the morning for vitamins and minerals. Some people prefer pellets. Depends on what the needs of the animals. It's just like for people. Not one diet is good for everybody. So you want to make sure that you pick the right avian specialists to make sure that your bird is getting proper food, water, and care on an everyday basis. And remember, when you change an environment, when you move, that plays a great role in every animal's life. When you're stressed, they're stressed. So at the end of the day, animals first, humans second.
Now, how do you know that they're stressed? Because, I mean, right now, he could be stressed and I wouldn't even know it. So do they give you some signs?
Well, the nice thing about Mariah, she'll let you know when she's stressed. She will tell you, she will make certain noises. As you can tell, all these guys are calm because they've been on daytime television, Fox 13, 8, 10. Some of them were in the TV series Second Noah. We do a lot of handling of our birds. They go up at night because of coyotes and raccoons, and they get fasting, and they get uptime and downtime. Part of animals being comfortable is the people being comfortable. And like you saw me come over with 2 or 3 birds, they're comfortable with that. That's my normal. That might not be your normal. So remembering that they need that, like what Maddie's doing now, she knows she can do that with that animal. Not all birds want to be handled. We do a lot of perching here with our Bright Future students, our troubled youth. All those play a role in helping us on an everyday basis, keeping the park up, running, keeping the environment happy. If you noticed earlier, we were over by Pongo and we had a lot of birds that were chirping and making a lot of noise. Well, that's because in this area here, we don't have a lot of geographical areas that they can come in and get food and water and then leave. And they do that sometimes too, go to the bathroom. So birds do everything that we do. And that beak that you see can be highly dangerous. People don't realize, I always tell them, 2-year-old children to a beak can bite your finger off. And we have to be respectful of the species that we work with. So Mariah is actually a boy. You can tell by the color of her eyes, but because she's always been named Mariah, we chose not to never change her name. If you notice, Mariah's listening to every single word we're saying,
she is.
and she's going to make sure that the show goes very well.
You know, you were talking about the beak, and that was one of the things that I was interested in, because I know that their beaks continue to grow, and sometimes they can grow too far. How do they keep them? How do you keep them trimmed so they don't go completely into their throats, make it hard to eat, and keep them trimmed?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of people don't realize that you do need to keep an eye on the beak. You need to make sure it's adjusted right so when they close their mouth, it's like our teeth. So again, starting off with a great avian specialist and making sure that doctor knows that individual bird, because before you go purchase a bird, you need to make sure you have a great vet that can do an overall health check. And that means you got to check the feet, you want to check the beak, you also want to trim the wings. You know, some of them I don't have to trim the wings very often, and some I do more, only because they have a good understanding of where their daily care comes from and their food and who loves them and who doesn't. These guys, again, are very intelligent, and the oldest one I personally have met has been 95 years old, and the average person doesn't think about that. And there's not a lot of regulations on birds. I think that will change in the future, but I don't care if it's a dog, a cat, a child. You need to think about that responsibility 24/7.
And you'd never think that a bird could live almost a century. They probably live that's almost longer than we live. So, I mean, that's something you really have to take into consideration. I mean, what happens if something happened to you? What's going to happen to these animals?
Well, I've already thought about that. That's why people like Maddie, we've got Tyler, they started here when they were 14. She's now 20. They take this seriously. Everyone here is rearranging their lives for these animals. So we don't take this very lightly. We already know that some of these animals had 4 and 5 people run out on them. Some of them been flipped around from state to state. We've gone into states that actually ban exotic animals, which we do not believe in. We believe there should be regulations. Every animal has a right to life, and every person who wants to take care of animals should be able to do that and have regulations, not bans. Bans send animals to extinction. Regulations keep a population going strong.
Well, thank you for this wonderful little display of birds here, and I think we have some more apes that we're going to be looking at, and monkeys and everything else here, don't we?
Yes, we do, but you're trying to get all those secrets out of me before we get to the next segment.
Well, we do have a lot more animals here that we will be checking out, so let's go to the next animal, see what we got in store. All right, guys, our next animal is a very amazing animal. What a beautiful creature this is. This is an orangutan, and we're going to be learning a little bit more about this particular animal. Now, tell us a little bit about the noise he's making, because that's pretty interesting.
Well, he loves women and doesn't like men. So that's why we're on this side and you're on that side.
I don't blame him in that one at all.
And the nice thing about orangutans, they're very expressive. Just any of your grade 8. There's 5 members of the grade 8 family. That's gorillas, orangutans, chimps, bonobos. The top 4 of the grade 8s, gorillas, orangutans, chimps, and bonobos are very rare, and they could be going extinct. In the next 10 years, they're saying they could be gone in the wild.
So these orangutans are really that close to extinction?
Absolutely. Congo is only one of 149 male orangutans in North America. We have 3 female orangutans here, with the oldest one being 50 years old, and there are only 119 female orangutans in North America. So that's a problem. When people don't start understanding that in Borneo and Sumatra that these guys can go extinct in our lifetime, and we're not doing anything about that, but we're complaining about them in captivity. That's the problem. Jane Goodall wrote in the chimpanzee movie that they could be extinct. There's in Borneo and Sumatra where the palm oil industry and different places like that that are taking away the rainforest, that makes the fight for the orangutans less and less and less. Now if you notice we have pads on the side of his face that means he's a full-grown male orangutan. If you notice that Maddie's paying more closer attention to him than us, and that's because when we're in front of our animals here, it's all about them. They don't really understand people that aren't in their territory. We usually work one-on-one with the animals. So they have fingerprints just like me and you. They care of their babies for the same length of time. Right now he's more interested on how long we're going to be here. From the palm of his hands to the tip of his fingers, if you look at his hand, are 19 inches long. He weighs between 350 to 400 pounds. So he came from Hollywood, South Carolina, and he has all of his teeth and he's fully intact. Unfortunately, male orangutans are solitary in the wild, which means that they don't always get along with other orangutans. So when they had a problem at the zoo where he decided that he was going to walk around the zoo all the time, he had to find a new home, and so he came to the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary, and every March we have his birthday. He just turned 21. In the wild they only live to 20. And when he gets done, he's done, so he may be leaving right now and going to get something and bring it back. Good boy. Yes.
Well, what's amazing is I didn't think orangutans were this big. I thought they were smaller. But this is amazing to me. I've never been this close to an orangutan before. So, how strong are these particular animals?
Well, the chimpanzee can pull 850 pounds in one arm, and when they're mad, 1250. And these guys can do 4 times that. You notice his ears are really small behind his pads. They make a different noise than a chimpanzee or a gorilla. So right now he's trying to figure everybody out. You'll notice that the hair on his arms are up a little bit, the hair on his shoulders. If you don't respect and understand some of those behaviors, that's where people make them get hurt. Right now he's trying to get your attention. He goes, no, I want the guy, I don't want you.
He's trying to give me a present?
He was trying to give it to you. So let him go ahead and stick it out again, and then wait until he gets it out further. He's trying to entice you in. This is what orangutans do. They love to use their brain. So right now, he's actually trying to entice you to do something he knows that you're not supposed to. So now he's going to try to stick it closer to let you know that it's okay. And that's what I love about it. You can go ahead and try to take it. You'll probably pull on it. Just hold it for a minute. So he's decided that that's going to be a gift. Now he's going to, don't let your hand go in. Trying to get you to take her and bring it in. So that's what we call a thought process. He thought about going over to the corner, getting that little twig, and decided to bring it back. Notice on his hands they're still bristled up, which means he's on guard. So I love to let people see what I see in the animals, because at the end of the day, it's all about them and what they're willing to do.
That bubblegum?
Yeah, you like bubblegum?
I love bubblegum.
He loves bubblegum. Oh, now he's letting you have that.
Oh, well,
so
thank
that's
you.
an honor. So
Thank you.
now he's going to try to pull it back, maybe. But thank you, baby. Can I have that? Can I have it? Good boy. Now, if you notice, when I reached in and said, "May I have that?"
He just let you have it.
He let it go, because I'm a primary caregiver here, and we have a relationship. You don't have a relationship.
No.
You're just a man
Right.
that he prefers not to be around.
But he did give me a present.
He did give you a present, and that's a high compliment for a grade 8, because when they start saving things to bring to you, like sometimes, just like the gorilla we have here, he will actually save flowers for the females, and he knows that they're flowers, and he'll bring them to you. So I always tell the girls, just be excited. Like right now, if he doesn't want to be near you, go in another area in the enclosure.
Sure.
He's not choosing to do that. He wants to be with you.
And he wants to be in front of the camera.
Absolutely.
Who doesn't want to be in front of the
He's a
camera?
ham. We do know that he's a ham, right? Are you a ham? You are a ham. You just want to be. Oh, I know.
And what's amazing is I'm looking at his nails. His nails are so similar to humans.
Oh, they absolutely are. And the thing about it is if you notice they're groomed. He takes care of that himself. We don't do that. And do you smell any weird smells around him?
No.
They take care of their own baby too. So we don't have to brush them. I always laugh when people say, do you brush them? bathe them. We don't have to. You know, nature's way is always the best thing. So animals know how to take care of themselves. We just complicate their system.
Now, how long does a general orangutan live? I know you kind of went over that a little bit, but generally, if they were in captivity, how long do they live in captivity? How long do they live outside of captivity?
Well, you have to remember here, genetics, and depending on the genetics of the species, especially with orangutans, you want to always remember, in the wild, they only live to about 20 years old. In captivity, the oldest one we have here is 50. So, in the wild, a 50-year-old orangutan, you would never see that. So we have to watch. It's going to push his fingers out very fast. The thing in captivity is that if he has 5 feedings a day, he has a better HMO and health care than I have. He has dentists. He can live a nice, healthy life. A 50-year-old orangutan is equivalent to a 60, 70, or 80-year-old person. So a year and a quarter for chimpanzees. So in captivity, these animals live longer, contrary to what a lot of people would like you to believe. Remember, if your health goes up, your diets go up. So we're always looking for more donations here of food. We're also looking for vitamins. We're also looking for more caregivers. We need all those things to keep their lives healthy, happy, and a stable environment.
Now, we were talking about extinction. I know some people are like worried about these types of animals being inside of cages and stuff like that as causing the extinctions and stuff like that. Is it better that they are in captivity or outside of captivity, or does it really not?
I think you should ask the animals that. I always laugh how people always think they know what's best for animals. But if you watch Monkey Kingdom and you watch the chimpanzee movie that were put out by PhDs and people that are out there studying them in the wild, I would ask you, if you were a mother or a father and you had a child and you're in Africa and you have to worry about food, shelter, friend, and not to be killed, would you rather see your child eaten by another animal, or would you have it be around people that love them? That's how we look at it. So I'm all for animals in captivity, but I'm also for animals in the wild. These animals can't go back to the wild. So we're not going to split hairs over that. So if somebody wants to challenge me on that, remember, at the end of the day, the animals have to come first. We have to think about them. We have nursing homes for people. We need nursing homes for animals. We have, not every animal can be in a zoo. Not every animal can be in the wild. And we do need sometimes human intervention. And we even need human intervention for humans, believe it or not.
That we do. We're very social animals like they are.
Yes.
Oh, it looks like I'm getting another treat.
Some, but remember, orangutans are not always social. Males only get together to copulate, and then the male orangutans leave in the wild. Chimps are troop-orientated. They do accept some chimps, and sometimes they'll kill another chimp. So we have to be realistic in what we're setting up for the animals and not setting ourselves up to failure or the animals up to failure. At the end of the day, I would like to see all animal rights groups and people that take care of animals sit at a table and have a normal conversation on how do we preserve critically endangered species in the world for all animals, not just our agendas.
That's true. And speaking of that, what has been done to try to preserve these animals in the wild and from extinction?
Well, again, you need to watch some of the documentaries that are out there by the specialists. Not very much, unfortunately. Jane Goodall has been out there for years and telling you that in the next 10 years they could be extinct. She's telling you we've got a problem. We've been having a problem. So when you don't want animals in captivity that can't go back to the wild, what do you want? There's some people that think that they should be euthanized and not in captivity at all. I don't believe in that, because I don't believe euthanization is a way of life, it's a way of death. Kevorkian went to prison for doing that with humans.
That's true. All right, so I guess we got some more animals that we're going to be checking out here a little bit.
We do.
All right.
I'm not going to tell you.
No, we're going to go have a little bit of fun. We'll be right back after this message. All right, guys, we are back with yet another animal. This is Muggsy, and this seems like a really neat little animal. That probably something we'd see more in terms of homes and stuff like that if somebody decided they wanted to have one as a pet. What kind of monkey is this?
I'm glad you asked. She's a Java rhesus macaque, and this is the kind that you usually see in pharmaceutical research companies. She's a female, and they usually use males. Like here at the sanctuary, we actually have some Java males that were used in diabetes research, and they're doing quite well, and they're older. So We would rather see animals get out of research and not be euthanized because,
Right.
again, we're pro-life, not pro-death. And if we can learn from these animals and they've helped us in research, why shouldn't we give back to them? So there's actually quite a few species of rhesus monkeys, and Mugsy is actually about 50 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, she doesn't look bad, does she?
No, you don't. You look very good for 50.
Yes. And right now she's loving being groomed, and that's one of the things that we do here at the sanctuary. The older the animal, the more one-on-one. She was actually one that we had a personal attendant with her during the whole hurricane. She didn't even know a hurricane was going on. So that's one thing that we like about the sanctuary, because zoos can't always pull their animals off.
That's right.
And they can't always do one-on-one. A lot of people had to leave their animals in the hurricane. Some of them didn't take their animals. So we try to make sure that every time something happens here at the sanctuary, the same primary caregivers are with them. So,
Now, why do they like being groomed so much? What does it do for them?
well, you have to remember, in their pecking order, that's something that makes them relax. They have a lot of like salt content on their skin. So sometimes you'll see them and then you'll think that they're picking off fleas or something like that. That's not what they're doing. Monkeys usually don't get fleas unless there's an overinfestation or a problem. They're very clean animals.
Yeah.
So right now Mugsy's trying to figure out, well, I'm not in my normal house and we're outside on the grass, and what are we doing? Because this is siesta time for Mugsy. She's old.
Yes. So she actually had diabetes. Did they induce her with like a diabetes type of thing to have the symptoms and then insulin?
Not her.
Not her. Okay.
The males that we have here had that. They actually raise them, breed them for that. So there are some states that would rather see you, and some animal rights groups that would rather have you euthanize a monkey for $10 than build it a $250,000 home. And that's what we were glad that the research company did, and they're doing great. Mugsy actually came from the other side of the state, and an individual took her on, and when the laws changed, he didn't have the proper licensing, and so we helped him, and we were able to bring her here to be around other monkeys. She's outlived the other guys. So Mugsy's a tough little old lady who's going to outlive me probably.
Now, how social are these particular monkeys?
Everyone is different. Some are more like us and some are not like us. Depends on the animal. Like right now, she's enjoying every minute of this, and in the morning she gets her hard-boiled egg. She gets certain things that she likes. If you notice in all of our enclosures, especially with the smaller guys, they have different toys. They have things that kids would have, so stimulating them. We have different enrichment times. We do foraging. Every one of the animals right now have to have certain things throughout the day to make their life a little bit better. And that's what we love to do here at the sanctuary. It's a lot of work. It's so much more than hosing, cleaning, and just taking care of animals. And I always laugh when people go to places and they'll say, well, I'd like to see better for them, but they're the last person to pull out a checkbook.
Yeah, that's true. Now, we just saw an orangutan, and then we see a monkey about this size. So what is the typical food that they would eat, the orangutan would eat, and this would eat, and the comparison of weight and stuff like that?
Good question. Well, again, knowing your animals is the key. So, like, she gets a hard-boiled egg. Pongo doesn't get a hard-boiled egg every day. They also have a monkey chow biscuit that they have that all the animals here get because it's specifically made for great apes and primates. So that's like giving them a vitamin pill. Right now, I think she's trying to go to sleep. But if you notice, we've got an aged monkey here. She's got all the hair on her tail. It's a little bit up right now because she's out of her territory, and she's trying to go to sleep over there. So...
Hey, who doesn't want to go to sleep?
I'm telling you, she looks very comfortable to me. The other thing is that at the end of the day, when you establish relationships with people, again, in the wild, they either fight or flight. They all want love, food, shelter, a friend, and someone to do like she's doing. Our motto here is one person can make a difference in an animal, child, or senior's life. That difference is us. Don't wait for the other guy. He may never show up. And remember, all Mugsy wants is love and someone to care about her 24/7. That can't happen in the wild, no matter what you do.
That's true. Now, where would this generally, this typical monkey live if they were in the wild?
Well,
what part of the world?
I don't like to talk about the ones in the wild as much as I do in captivity, only because these guys have never been in the wild.
Right.
So you're talking about a whole different group of animals. We've got domesticated animals versus exotic wild animals that are born and raised in the wild. She's really going to sleep there. Domesticated animals are one that are born and raised in captivity that never will be in the wild, couldn't survive even if you put them there.
Right.
The exotic animals in the wild that have never seen humans and shouldn't see humans are totally different. So we have educated exotic animals in captivity. So that's a big difference. You've got them coming from all over. There's actually over 20 some species of rhesus macaques. So they're all over the globe.
Okay.
And you'll hear Japanese macaques, you'll hear crab-eating macaques, you'll hear bonnet macaque. So there's quite a few different kinds of species of macaques. The original rhesus monkeys started our RH factor on our blood types. So that's why you hear, what type of blood do you have, RH factor? That's where it came from, rhesus. It's the beginning of the spelling of their name.
Interesting.
And they were all used in research labs.
Now, do we have any typical monkeys that are native to North America?
Yes, but you have to remember, you don't hear a lot of it.
No, you don't.
Don't just think about that, because even your capuchins that people get in personal homes, most of them are raised in captivity, and that some of them have service monkeys.
Yeah.
You'll see the night of the museum. You'll see prosimians, which are the lemurs. You'll see them in movies. That's most of the way people are learning or getting their education, which is really sad, because at the end of the day, it just gives a falseness of what's really going on with the animals in the wild. So I always tell people, what we need to do is educate ourselves before we get animals, and we need to educate ourselves on the different needs of the individual animals. You're not going to do the same things for Muggsy as you're going to do for Pongo the orangutan.
Right.
You're not going to do the same thing for a 5-year-old monkey as you are for a 60-year-old monkey. Okay, she says, now I'm going over here to see what this thing is over here on the ground that you're all talking into.
Well, it's a beautiful little monkey, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And, it's just amazing what they're able to live as long as she did, and being a test animal to begin with. So it's amazing how you're able to prolong her life and make it more substantial towards the ends of it.
Well, remember this. At the end of the day, when an animal's life, and they don't have medical problems in their aged life, that means you're doing something right. Mm-hmm. Animals and people will not live long unless they're happy.
That's
when
right.
the stress goes down, your quality of life goes up.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine being hunted all day long in the wild. I don't want to imagine that.
No.
The other thing here in this county, we're not even legally allowed to put them on the ground. We have to put all the animals here on surfaces. And a lot of people don't understand that. But for the animals, at the end of the day, we're able to actually clean them better. They're able to get healthier food, their environment. When you're sitting, right now you're sitting in the main part of the sanctuary, how many smells have you really smelled that are bad?
Nothing.
And our caregivers do that because they're constantly cleaning all day long. They're always looking for ways to make their life and their environment healthy. Does everybody like to see an animal in an enclosure? No.
No.
Legally, we can't put them on the ground here. So I always laugh when people will come in and say, well, I would like to see them. What I would like to see. And again, it all starts with somebody making a difference. We always tell everybody, you see a problem in the park, write it down, give us the solution. Most of the time we know what the problems are. We need a bigger person to step up and help us. I'm looking for $1 million donor. I know they're out there.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the day that $1 million donor comes and puts their name on the whole sanctuary for the education department. We have 4 modulars right now that we want to build educational classrooms for all animals, not just exotic animals, and we want to raise the bar of education. We have no zoos in Pinellas County. Hillsborough has some. Pasco County has no zoos. So do you know why we don't have zoos?
Money.
In Pinellas County? We have a lot of money in Pinellas County. It's not a focal point. So remember, we're not making any more land. This is a very, very high-taxed county, but our focus point isn't animals. Animals, children, and seniors are the 3 lowest-paying jobs when you come out of college, and they're the 3 most neglected when it comes to projects like this. Muggsy's like, I'm looking at the thing over here.
Peed on me, so
Oh, that's okay.
2 times
That's
1
okay.
week.
She's real. What can I say? This is our first interview.
All right. Do we have any more to go see? Or
I think that's it for today. But if you want more, or if you want to come back again, you're not that far away, right?
No, we're not
How
that far
do
away.
you live?
7 miles?
7 miles? Well, you can make the 7-mile trip, and I'll give you something more special.
All right, guys, that is the end of the show already. And we have so much more coming up for you guys. We have some cool places that we're going to be experiencing. We have the Christmas edition coming up, too, which you know what we do with that. We explore the holiday season. You know, we learn about different things about Christmas. We take you to some cool places and experiences all about the holiday season. One of my favorite episodes, and I'm glad I get the chance to do it every single solitary year. So look out for that coming up. And remember, check out our websites, www.theamemagazine.com, anytime you want. Everything up there from our television, radio, and magazine are archived. So please check that out. And don't forget to get our brand new apps as well. So that's all we have for you guys today. Again, we got more destinations coming up, some more cool places coming up, and we will take you on those on our next upcoming adventure. So we'll see you on the road, and keep those creative juices flowing. Good night, everybody.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.